Okay, you're listening to You Can Fix That in Post with Elise, Dave, and Simon, and this week is mockumentary film and a little bit of found footage films, and it was Dave's choice, so you can blame Dave.
It's always fun when Dave chooses the topic.
Yeah, they come out of left field, and it's just like it makes you look at things you wouldn't ordinarily.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff that I'd never seen before. Like I'd heard of films like
The 13th Floor.
Yeah, Dark City, but I'd never seen it.
Yeah. It's only when Dave forces it down your throat, which is a nice segue as to why I sound a bit weird, because I've got a cold. So if it sounds like I've got something down my throat, well, it's a little bit different than usual. Okay, so we're going to examine particularly the work of Christopher Guest, what he started.
He may not be a name you know, but you would know his films.
Definitely. Where he starts from, what he's doing now, and then we're going to look into the kind of found footage stuff that people keep on doing these days. Like there's a million things like Modern Family and Cloverfield and Arrested Development, where it's just like, we're going to pretend we're making a documentary, which it seems like it's more of an afterthought rather than a creative choice.
Yeah.
Because when you go back to This Is Spinal Tap, mockumentary, that was some creative shit. It's like,
pretty much unheard of before Spinal Tap.
It's like the last genre to ever be made. As in, like, in terms of film genres that actually aren't an amalgamation of something, mockumentary is the most original and newest one, and that's from, like, 1984. Like, everything else, you kind of go, yep, it's a teen comedy. It's like, yep, teen...
It's got its roots in XYZ. Yeah.
So this is Spinal Tap. He co-wrote it with Harry Shearer and McLean and Rob Reiner, who actually directed it. But those guys who make up the band Spinal Tap are then in all of his other mockumentary films.
Yeah, he's kind of Christopher Guest has become known for repeating his actors, but on a much bigger scale. We're not like talking like Tim Burton and Johnny Depp. We're talking like 12 or 14 of the same actors.
Yeah.
Repeating in each film. Like different characters, different stories, but yeah, the same people showing up.
It's like an acting troupe or whatever it is, where it's just like they've all kind of made this deal with him where it's like, yeah, I guess we have to be in every one of your films now.
Obviously they're doing it out of love. Like they're doing it because they like him and they like what they're doing.
I'm not going to speak for them. For all we know,
there may be contracts involved. I don't know.
It could be like Stifler's mum's going, well, he's got that video of me, and if I don't do it, he's going to release it.
At some point, you got to go, well, fuck it, you know.
Yeah. Well, at some point, she'll reach a point where it's like, I need that video released to stay relevant.
True. Yeah. I feel like that time is coming.
Yeah. So, Dave, you've selected this topic for us. What made you select it for us, and what are your take on the whole mockumentary thing? Are we being saturated with this crap?
Right, yes. I think, especially nowadays, I guess, with, like you said, Modern Family, Parks and Rec, The Office, and all that. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Like, I kind of enjoy it. I guess I don't know why, but it's just, makes it more humorous, perhaps, or... but yeah, picking the Christopher Guest movies was... I didn't actually know it was all the same. I sort of had this feeling there was all these movies I'd watched from my childhood, and they all seemed to have the same actors, the same sort of story, same sort of, I guess even before I knew what a mockumentary was. So I kind of wanted to watch them all again, and not that I got to watch all of them, but yeah.
You watched some of them.
Some of them, yeah. Well, the Spinal Tap, Best in Show, A Mighty Wind, Mascots was pretty funny. Yeah.
And what's the other one? Feel like I'm missing something.
Waiting for Guffman.
Waiting for Guffman and For Your Consideration. I feel like there's another one. What are we missing? Brain fade. Don't mind me. Continue. But I guess you got to kind of put it into that context of these are actually mockumentaries, as in like they're very much of... Okay, so there are things that adopt the style of found footage or mockumentary, but in actual fact aren't. Mm-hmm. Like, if you watch something like Cloverfield, the start of it is basically, this footage was found, this is the army that has declassified this or whatever it is, you're watching this army footage. And the army has found this camcorder of this guy who went to a party and he was interviewing people, and during that party, some shit hit the fan and aliens came down. In Blair Witch, it's like, yep, it was this county where these people disappeared, we found their footage, and here it is. It's a style. With something like This Is Spinal Tap, I feel like it goes to that other level. It's like, also, What We Do in the Shadows does it really well. There'd be a different thing altogether if What We Do in the Shadows was just kind of like, yep, we're doing handycam stuff, but no, it's like we're asking questions, we're interacting with the characters, and yeah, I think
sometimes even appearing on screen, like having some of the crew appear on screen.
Yeah, and the joke of them dying because they're interviewing vampires and, you know, it's a hazardous job.
Yeah.
But if you notice in Spinal Tap, one of the key characters is the director, is Rob Reiner. And, like, he's playing that kind of window into the audience, asking those questions like, are you fucking serious? Like,
why does it go up to 11?
Yeah, why does it go up to 11? And, you know, asking them questions about, like, the Stonehenge monument and, you know, the different sizes and all that kind of crap. Like, it's a lot easier to digest as an audience when we can see a guy kind of going, this is ridiculous. Because then we can go, yeah, we think it's ridiculous too. We have permission to laugh at this and to think that it's bizarre. But from This Is Spinal Tap, Guest doesn't do that anymore. He doesn't have the person making the documentary take part in the story at all, and we never get any motivation for the documentary being made.
No, it's just rolling up to an event or, you know, an
like
award show or whatever.
Or a dog show or a... what's the folk thing, or the music, Mascots, or which I don't necessarily like. It's just obviously something that he's adopted, because I like it when they actually participate with the people who are behind the camera.
It probably makes it more seamless as a comedy film. It takes away that the stiltedness of having, you know, someone to look at, like having the director there. Yeah, it makes it a more seamless film. Yeah.
Well, it actually probably feels more like a documentary, which is, I guess, what it's trying to do. But I don't know, I just think that there's some setups and there's some comedy in having that person interact with them.
Yeah.
Like the Drop Dead Gorgeous thing, whereby you have this guy who's stuck to a car, and he's basically...
his overalls stuck in the car door.
And he's obviously got, like, the mental age of, like, say, a 5-year-old or whatever it is, but he's a grown man, a huge man, and he's stuck to this car, and these kids are picking on him. And down the bottom of the screen, it basically says that the documentary crew has strict rules on not interfering with their subjects, so they basically watch him struggle with something that, you know, obviously
he needed help, yeah.
Yeah. And that's really, really funny. But, you know, it also tips the hat at, these are actually people behind their camera.
Yeah. And
later on in that film, not to say that, you know, Drop Dead Gorgeous has anything to do with Christopher Guest, but it's, you know, mockumentary style. The camera crew has some bad shellfish along with some of the characters, and he's, like, blowing chunks everywhere, and he's throwing up as well. And then, like, at one point, the camera crew from the TV show Cops interact with the camera crew from the people making... this documentary about the Mount Rose, what is it?
Was it something Rose Cosmetics Beauty?
Miss Teen America.
Miss Teen Princess America.
Don't you know, from Wisconsin. So what's your favorite one?
My favorite bit is what happened.
What?
From a Mighty Wind. It's Fred Willard playing the stand-up comedian turned manager, and he keeps trying to put his bit into everyone's stuff. You should turn to them and go, "What happened?" Do you remember that guy?
Is that when they have made the, they're gonna get a show after the fact?
Yeah.
He's like writing down ideas like, oh, these guys should yell at them and be like, I don't know, was it?
They should have the water come onto them.
Yeah, because
Be on a cruise ship or something, and then the water douses them, and you can turn to the camera and go, "What happened?"
It's actually really funny, the things that people find funny and become, memorable about something, because you guys have clearly lost your shit.
Yeah, that's really like stuck with me. Fred Willard's character,
Yeah.
in a Mighty Wind, is just so. He's over the top, but at the same time, he's so relatable because everybody knows someone who is always trying to edge into the conversation, or is always trying to like bring their own thing that they think's hilarious to a successful group or whatever. And just he's very over the top, but like he's still really obviously stuck in his like heyday of his stand-up comedy act. But that's the thing, like every character has their own little quirks and stuff that on their own would be over the top. Yeah. But somehow as a group
it seems normal.
It seems normal.
It's like we've got 12 people who are all crazy, but because everyone on screen is crazy, it just seems
it works. Yeah.
The interaction between him and the little person who's like the worm.
Oh my gosh, yes.
That was amazing.
That was so funny because everything he was saying was highly offensive.
Yeah.
But like the guy that was playing the worm was like so used to being offended by people and being asked stupid questions like, "What kind of car do you drive?" He's like, "I drive a normal car." Like, it's like, "Let me help you." He's like, "No, dude, I can do it myself. Like, I can get up on the chair. It's fine."
Yeah.
And he there was not a mean bone in his body. Like, he was not trying to be offensive. He was just inadvertently being horrifically offensive with every word out of his mouth.
The little actor guy is basically giving him crap as well, but doing it so subtly that it's going over his head.
I really liked Mascots. I thought it was very funny. And just like, what my favorite part of that movie was like the event organizer who was, every time he was trying to do a talking head, would have the one fairy that had snuck into the show up in the background, going, "Hey, that guy's busy." And then he knew all the terms that the fairies use. It's like, "Oh, he's like blurping on that guy or something." It's like, "Oh, did he make a blurping noise?"
No, it's more like a yiff.
Exactly. So he's like trying to get security to get this one fairy that had snuck into the mascot competition.
And then there's the clam that actually I think enjoyed being rubbed against by the.
And open it up so you could see out of it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was so funny.
This is going to sound probably a bit weird, but I actually enjoyed the routines.
Yes. How good was the plumber routine with the poo that comes out?
Yeah.
That was good.
And what was the other ones? The plumber with the ladder stuff was good.
Yeah.
Like this sounds like I'm 5. It's like, do you see when the guy in the costume did that thing?
And then
the ladder
Parker,
was the hedgehog.
The hedgehog. Yeah, the hedgehog was the ladder. Yeah, where with the father had said, don't use the ladder, do the traditional routine.
Yeah, so I like that one.
Yeah, but then the girl that was the aardvark or whatever it was just this weird interpretive dance, and everyone was just like, "What the hell's this going on about?"
And what was the one that? Oh God, one clearly had found offensive. Oh, yeah. The poo that clearly, wasn't going to win because it was offensive to the chick from Glee.
The poo? Do you mean the plumber?
The plumber. You know how as soon as the poo comes out, you look at her face and she's just like, she put a big giant cross.
Oh, she just crossed it out. Yeah.
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 And I guess that's part of the thing. I mean, she's gone on to pretty big things, like she's won a Golden Globe for Glee. But Guest has kind of recruited her.
Yeah, from the start of her career.
Yeah. And you look at like Eugene Levy and what's Stifler's mom, and then
Jennifer Coolidge. You keep calling her Stifler's mum.
yeah, it's because it's like, what was she
That's
in?
what she's known for.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, Catherine O'Hara and Parker Posey.
And what's the crazy blonde old man who believes in like the 9/11 conspiracies?
Ed Begley Jr.
Is that the old?
Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah, probably.
Who was the in A Mighty Wind? He was Swedish, and then he's like the very Jewish Swedish guy. Do you remember that part of A Mighty Wind where he's talking about Mazel Tov and stuff? And
Yes. Yeah.
and Vishnikin and all this stuff.
Yeah, I just remember him from like, you know how you have those friends who are like, 9/11 wasn't real. And then you go, they're like, what are you basing that on? This documentary that's on YouTube. And then you see this guy, and you're just like, holy crap, this actor that I actually enjoy, he believes 9/11 it was actually a thing, like staged. You're just like, where did... Yeah.
It's like finding out someone's a Scientologist.
Yeah.
Like, oh, really?
And the thing is, once you find out they're a Scientologist, it's like the only thing that can happen is a whole bunch of films they get released win you back to them.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, John Travolta, Scientologist. Oh my God, did you see Face Off? Yeah, I can put up with the fact that he's a Scientologist.
Yeah. It's like Elizabeth Moss. Man, she's such a great actress. I love everything she does. Yeah, she's a Scientologist.
Well, here's the thing. We just kind of alienated some of our audience. It's like, wow, the Scientologists just
the
tuned out.
Scientologists have just switched off.
Meanwhile,
But
the
that's
little
okay.
people, demographics,
It's
increase.
really picking up. Yeah.
Yeah. So you say that you don't have a problem with the amount of people adopting this strategy. Like, you're like, I don't mind Modern Family doing it. I don't mind Arrested Development doing it. But do you think at some point it just becomes lazy? Like, it's like, we can't work out what the character is thinking, so we'll just literally ask them what they're thinking.
I think it is a bit lazy. And maybe that's just how they're able to, I guess, pump out so many shows so easily, perhaps.
Well, it can be lazy. It doesn't mean it's not effective.
Yeah.
Like,
true.
if it's like, we can have like 10 minutes of, character development and action that gets us to learn more about the character, or we can have like 30 seconds where we just ask the character a question and we learn more about them. Well, what's a better use of time? And it's probably really easy to kind of just lock off the camera and go, yep, we're going to just do like a standard 2-shot or a close-up of you. And we don't have to, like
It's a good, like, you can get a lot of gags out of it as well.
Yeah.
It's like, particularly, like, with having Modern Family the way that they shoot that, with having two characters together on a couch.
Yeah.
You get a lot of good stuff out of that. You have Mitch and Cam sitting there and they're talking about, how the family can't relate to whatever because they are gay and the family can't relate to that, and this is why. And then having Claire and Phil having their interpretation of something that Mitch and Cam did as a playoff on what they're saying.
Right next to each other, cutting between
the two. Yeah, it's a really good gag and it's really effective. And it's not necessarily lazy, I don't think. I think it's just a different way of doing things.
Mm. I also think the 2 shots are good because someone will say something and the reaction is just as funny, if not more funny, than what's being said.
Yeah.
And,
Agree.
also part of that comes down to the casting. Because, you look at those shows, because they are have the capacity to be visually boring, like just people sat on a couch answering.
Same sets.
Yeah. You better have funny actors. So like Ed O'Neill, has been in the biz doing comedy for a million years.
Playing the same character for a million years.
Yeah, pretty much.
Grumpy old man.
Yeah. Well, if you can do it well.
Yeah.
Arrested Development did it well. The Office did it extremely well.
Yeah.
There's
a difference though between the British version of The Office, and then the American version. I think it was approached differently with the American version, because the British version, I'm pretty sure that I haven't watched it for a very long time, but in the back of my mind, they did like interact with the cast a bit. Do you remember that? Like, when's the last time you watched the British version?
I've seen the British version recently, and Brent will play up to the camera, but he won't. It's usually interacting with someone who's physically there. So it'll be like, okay, it's your first day on the job. Look, I put that monkey on that thing, or get a look at that joke or that gag and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But no, there's not a lot of interaction at all with the camera at all.
The specific incident I'm thinking of is when the documentary crew pay for Dawn to come back or something?
Yeah, this is the thing. So
they pay for her a plane ticket or something?
So the first 2 seasons of The British Office, it's like, we are getting this documentary made. We have no idea who's making it, why it's being made, what their agenda is. The person behind the camera is not a character. You don't actually work out why it was all being done until the Christmas special, where they say, we'll pay for Dawn to come over. So direct, impact on the people there, filming and all that stuff. But likewise, you hear that it went to a BBC channel, and since then David Brent has been given lots of shit by people because he's just known as that dickhead boss who, what was it? Just the amount of times that he messed up on camera that it's kind of come back to haunt him.
Endearing, yeah.
And he's been using that to be on a celebrity circuit. So, I mean, it's not till the Christmas special, which is really, a very small part of the entire thing, that you actually learn the impact of that crew in that documentary.
Right.
I don't have a huge amount of experience with the US office, but this is my thing. All these things don't utilize as well the character of who's behind the camera.
Yeah.
You watch This Is Spinal Tap, and the director is probably influencing everything. And by that I mean the fictional director is influencing everything that you're seeing.
Yeah.
And is part of the problem in a lot of ways. Because he doesn't really want to be there. I don't know why he chose to be there, but he seems to have, maybe he was wanting to be there in the beginning, but by the end of it, his passion for the entire thing, I don't know if he's just the illusion of what this band was, but he just thinks they're idiots. And if you ever watch any of the supplementary stuff, because these guys have now released 4 or 5 videos since. I mean, they've been on The Simpsons as Spinal Tap. It's the friggin' Splish Splosh show, and they basically talk about how the director stitched them up and made them look like idiots.
Right.
And they're commenting on a fictional director stitching them up. And if you ever listen to the audio commentary for This Is Spinal Tap, it's the characters doing the audio commentary saying, this director, why did he put this in? It makes us look stupid. It's one of the weirdest experiences you have to be watching a film, listening to characters that are fake talk about a film that is fake. Yeah.
It's mind-bending.
It is mind-bending, but it's also another layer that if you're a fan of the film, you should listen to the audio commentary because
you can get a lot out of it.
Well, it's basically another film.
Yeah. Yeah, just not going to break character until the audio commentary's done.
Yeah, like a Robert Downey Jr., but before Robert Downey Jr., I think.
What happened?
Hey, what happened?
I think my problem is that if someone told me that I watched these types of films too close together, as in if someone said, "Oh, this bit from Mascots," and I'd be like, "Wasn't that from Mighty Wonder?"
Yeah, exactly. They do bleed together because it's the same actors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going to watch Waiting for Guffman and I'm going to watch For Your Consideration, and I'll just be like, what? What's going on?
Which one was the one where...
And I'll be like, aren't they going to some kind of mascot thing? Oh, no. They've got a town hall, show, and it's the motivation for it all is going to... Yeah. I really liked Mascots, but I think that's because it was the first one I watched of this group.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
And then A Mighty Wind was just I should probably watch it because we're going to talk about it. And it was just what? Which
I liked A Mighty Wind.
I did, but I think
I felt like it had more heart than Mascots.
Yeah. I found there was a fair bit of heart with Mascots, because the whole father and son thing where he's like the British guy.
Yeah.
And also...
The couple that like fucking hate each other by the end.
Yeah.
And he's just like cheating on her the whole time.
And the chick who can't do it because she's, poisoned.
She's sick, and then her sister takes over. And, yeah.
So how do we wrap this up? Because I'm not sure if we've been very informative. You can include that. I guess what people should take away from this would be that if you can get a hold of the Christopher Guest mockumentaries of...
Just don't watch them all at the same time.
Don't watch them all at the same time, because when they've got the same 12 actors and actresses in them, you're going to get to a point where it's just...
together.
Yeah, where it's just like, oh, there was that great scene in Mascots. Oh, no, that was A Mighty Wind. Oh, no, that was Waiting for Guffman. Oh, no, it was Best in Show.
What was Catherine O'Hara's hair like? That's really the only, main thing that you can, differentiate.
Yeah.
Did she have the long, curly, brown, black hair? Then that was A Mighty Wind.
And I guess we're talking about these films because Christopher Guest has really adopted this style. As in, when you look at everything else he's done, it's pretty much these...
they stand out. They're the main films that he's doing.
Yeah.
He's still acting a lot.
Yeah. And, you'll know him from The Six-Fingered Man to throw back to a previous show, The Princess Bride. And he's also in... So that's a Rob Reiner film, and This Is Spinal Tap is a Rob Reiner film. And A Few Good Men is a Rob Reiner film, and he's in that as well. And for other bits of information, he's married to Jamie Lee Curtis, and he was a Baron.
What?
Yeah, so he's from noble blood or whatever it was. And then he got kicked out, and he doesn't think it was fair.
Is there some kind of, angry YouTube video that we can watch
Probably.
Berating the House of Lords?
Yeah, so it was
him out?
He was part of the House of Lords because his father was a part of the House of Lords, and then he was kicked out because he has dual citizenship and because he wasn't actually born in the UK, he was born in the United States. And when they kicked him out, he kind of went, I think it's all bullshit anyway. We shouldn't be born into this position, we should have elections.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
That's monarchy for you.
Yeah, but if you look at the other stuff, I think there's merit to some of the stuff. Like, for me, Blair Witch, when it came out, was scary as hell. And it was an cinema experience.
It was. And the viral marketing that they did for that, which was unheard of at the time because the internet was still a new thing, really. And they sold it as...
something that actually happened.
A real found footage, and people went to the cinema believing that it was real.
That what they were watching
was,
out of people dying.
Yeah.
And it's not until you stay till the end of the credits that it says, none of this is real. Fictitious. Don't sue us.
These people are actors.
And then when you look at Cloverfield, clearly when you're going to the cinema to see Cloverfield, you're not thinking, I guess aliens might have come down and taken over New York.
That's when it got to the point, though, where it's so shaky and hard to follow which way is up, and it's all on a crappy handheld camcorder, and the acting's not particularly good.
See, when I first saw Cloverfield, I thought, this is Pooh Sandwich. And then, sorry. And then when I watched it again recently, I remember giving it a little bit more of a go and giving it, I don't know if it was because I'd just been mind raped by Michael Bay films that when I watched Cloverfield again, it was just like, oh, maybe that you pick up more in the second viewing. But also, it's actually quite inventive. Beyond the whole, we're shaking up the camera and stuff, some of the stuff that they actually film of there's this alien and it's dropping weird bugs and those bugs are biting people and then they're exploding and then there's these other kind of bugs. I just remember the first time I saw it thinking, I want to throw up.
Where are all these bugs coming from?
Well, no, I don't even remember the bugs. It's just
when
like,
they're in the subway
Yeah.
and then they're like crawling up the
Yeah,
walls and shit. Yeah.
I thought it, like I found it entertaining. I mean, you could watch popcorn, you could eat popcorn and watch it and go, it was something.
Something exploded and
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, that being said, I mean, what did it really?
The upside of something like that is you don't have to explain anything. Like, you don't need to have any exposition whatsoever.
Yeah.
You can just have people reacting to shit.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's okay because it's found footage. Like, you don't need to have any, like, doctors or scientists or anything, like, explaining where this shit came from or what it is or how to kill it.
It is a little bit convenient, though, at times when it's just like this person who's like, what do you do? I'm just a skate punk guy who's got a video camera, and I just happen to be looking at the two scientists having this conversation where it's like, we can do this, this, and this, and it'll kill them. So it's
Yeah.
like, well, it's convenient that I'm right here capturing this moment,
Yeah.
because that might come in handy later on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then having people be at the right place at the right time. Yeah, that's how you make it into some form of narrative, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. It actually goes back to the idea of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Even though Texas Chainsaw Massacre wasn't found footage, it starts off trying to convince the audience that it's real. It comes up going, on this date, this happened. It was a real event in Texas history. And it starts off with a sheriff going through the house of Leatherface, collecting evidence and basically talking into a recording microphone and a cameraman recording him for evidence purposes. And then while he's there, he gets attacked. But this idea of found footage, that started pretty much with Texas Chainsaw Massacre for the first 5 minutes anyway. Once that happens, they kind of go into this reenactment, and that's the actual film. But, I mean, the first time I ever saw handheld stuff that was supposed to be passed off as real was Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Right.
And there's something to be said about the horror genre taking this style up because it saves money.
It's dirt cheap. Yeah.
And then we've had 50 paranormal activities because just like, what do we got? We got this security camera there and security camera there. And look, we've got 5 minutes of nothing happening. And then the chair moves a little bit. Oh my God, I'm going to shit my pants. It's so scary.
Well, yeah, they made the first film for like, I don't know,
a
couple $1,000s. Like, it would cost them nothing. And it was like one of the highest grossing films.
It's like when you look at Blair Witch.
It's pure profit. Yeah.
Blair Witch was like 300 grand. It went on to gross like 100 million.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what do? We got these crappy actors. We gave them some cameras. We got them to run through the woods.
Yeah.
And then we pretended it was real and everyone thought it was real. So they went to see it. And they got a little bit sick because they were,
It was, yeah.
They all
You're going to have epileptic fits from the flashing lights and shit.
But it's quite inventive.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we're talking about Blair Witch 25 years after it came out, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm quite happy Dave thought of this topic. I definitely need to review a lot of the Christopher Guest stuff.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll be less of a prick, or I'll be more forgiving to things like Modern Family.
Yeah. Well, hey, they're what, like 10 seasons in now?
Yeah. Cash cow milking the cash cow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Parks and Rec is good, and it works. What are you watching this week, Simon?
I am watching Fear the Walking Dead. I've just finished watching the latest season of The 100, not 100, of The 100, and that's very good. And I think that's about it, really.
Dave, you watching anything this week?
Kinda. I guess my neighbours have been watching the IT Crowd and that new one, Animal Kingdom. So I've sort of been dropping in and seeing random episodes.
That's getting, very good reviews, Animal Kingdom.
That's,
apparently it's really good.
That's not the thing with Jackie Weaver and all that stuff.
It was an Australian film with
Yeah.
Jackie Weaver, and then they made an American TV show off the back of it, like American version of.
Oh, because that usually goes
TV
so
series.
well.
Yeah, I know. Usually it bombs and
Kath
it's terrible.
Kim.
But I think they've gone about it the right way. With
Yeah,
this one.
they've Elijah Wooded this thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And
do you-
I think the grandma in Animal Kingdom was actually the drunken from Drop Dead Gorgeous, maybe? Looks like.
Ah, with the beer
With the
can in
beer
her
can,
hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that lady.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's actually right, but yeah.
I've traveled back in time a little bit, and I've been watching That 70s Show, which
Ooh.
is on Netflix. You can watch the whole thing on there, which is fun. That was very much my teenage years, was watching That 70s Show. It holds up. It's pretty good.
I feel a bit sad for it though, because I feel like all those.
It did a Scrubs, and it went on way too long.
I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of it. I guess what I mean is I feel sad for the actors because they're never gonna get better than that.
No, that was it was kind of lightning in a bottle with that cast. Like they did really well with that.
And it's like now and then you're like, oh, Ashton Kutcher, he gets work now and then.
He's doing all right for himself. He's married to Mila. He's doing okay. Mila's working.
But it's like, what did he do? Oh, he did that 50th version of Steve Jobs. So it's like, everyone's doing a Steve Jobs movie. You do a Steve Jobs movie. Check under your seat.
At least his wife's doing all right.
Yeah. And then
She's still
Topher
working.
Grace was in the Predators movie where he played that serial killer. That was good.
Yeah, that was good. I like that.
And then I don't know what Fez is doing.
I don't know that he's. I don't know. I haven't seen anything that he's been in other than that. Yeah. So we'll wrap it up for today for our discussion. Who's got to come up with the theme next? I think it's your turn.
My turn.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll make something that's a little bit easier to get our head around other than fake people influencing fake people who could be real, but we're not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty much
Thanks
it in
for
a
this week,
nutshell.
Dave.
No worries.
No, it was good. It was
was good.
a good one. Make sure you get in touch with us on Facebook. Let us know which Christopher Guest movies you've seen and your thoughts, feelings, emotions.
Any other mockumentary things that you should be watching?
Yeah.
I will say this. Peter Jackson's Forgotten Silver, 52 minutes. It's amazing. If you're ever going to see a mockumentary that actually people could watch and think was real, I thought that was real. I had to go online to find out that it wasn't real, and then I thought, oh yeah, I'm an idiot.
Thank you for listening. We'll be back with another show. Simon will come up with something enthralling, I'm sure.
Yes, enthralling.
Yes. And as always, you can fix that in post.